going south now. We're going back to Nevada. We will have Ridgeline Minerals presenting now. Chad Peters, a very young exploration team, a very young company. So I'm quite excited to have them present. Really interesting model they are running there in Nevada. And Chad.
Thanks for having me, Kai. So yeah, we do have a bit of a different model here. I'm switching over to full screen. There we go. And, so here's our disclaimer. Just got to run through that quickly. So, as Kai mentioned, we have a pretty interesting story here at Ridgeline. So why do I think you should invest in the company? We're a Nevada-focused gold silver explorer with a 125 square kilometer exploration portfolio across 4 really strategic projects in the Carlin and Battle Mountain-Eureka trends. But what sets us apart as a company is I co-founded the company in 2018 out of my garage with a longtime friend who owned a drilling company. So we partnered together. I ran the company, got it up and funded. In return for his founding stake in the company, he brought in a 50,000 foot or 15,000 meter drilling contract at a 60% discount to market rate. So that's what we felt set us apart. We have a greater chance of making discovery early in the exploration company as a cycle because we can put more investor dollars in the ground than any of our peers. So we've built a great team around our core technical team down here in Nevada. Collectively, we've discovered millions of ounces in Nevada over the last 20 years. We're very aligned with our shareholders. We own 17% of the company. I myself own just under 8% of the company. And, I went without a salary for the first 14 months. And then put 150,000 of my own capital into the company on every financing. So we're very motivated, very excited about going out and just making discovery and adding value per share. So one new kind of highlight for us is we've already made a discovery. We went public in August of 2020. We announced a new discovery, shallow oxide silver gold discovery at our Salina project in December of 2020. So that's been a very exciting story for us, and I'll get into that in a little bit. From a cap structure perspective, we have 48 million shares out, so nice tight share structure, 3.4 million cash in the bank. We have an additional 6.2 million warrants at 55 cents. And, fully diluted, we're about 58 million shares. So really tight share structure. And I think some good drilling this year will really help us take off. So we have great shareholders, 19%, give or take, public company ownership, highlighted by EMX Royalty, who was our founding. We spun the projects out of EMX and they took an early stake in the company, the management team as well. So 12 different institutions totaling over 12%. Headed up by guys like Paul Stevens, Commodity Capital, Willem Middelkoop's Commodity Discovery Fund. So really good mix. And then on top of that, Haywood brought in a strong retail book of over 52% of our books. So really nice diversified share structure. And our 4 projects. So we have, I like to think a very different portfolio, I guess you could say. What we have is Carlin East and Bell Creek are 2 very strategic land positions right on the North Carlin Trend. They're right beside some of the biggest mines in Nevada, but they're deep, right? Same as our Swift project, where they're deep. It's a deep target, about 400 meters down, but it's sitting right on trend of the Pipeline mine, which is a 20 million ounce deposit. So we wanted to kind of offset a bit of that deeper risk. And so we brought the Salina project into our portfolio early. That's a shallow oxide play. We were looking for a gold target and we found a silver deposit. So it's been a pretty exciting development for us that we didn't anticipate. So in that diversified portfolio, we have a few key highlights. So at Salina, we're seeing this new shallow silver oxide discovery. It outcrops at surface. We're seeing high grades in drilling, very shallow, 44 meters, 57 grams silver, 0.22 gold in hole 21. That equates to about 73.5 silver equivalent. So very high grades for a shallow oxide silver system. We've hit up to 3 meters of 790 grams silver and 0.4 gold. So again, very high grades. That's oxide, and it's less than 100 meters below surface. So we're going to be doing additional drilling there this year. I'm going to get into that shortly. Bell Creek and Carlin East, 2 very strategic land positions. Barrick is drilling right off the edges of these projects. So we're really excited about what could come from that. A lot of potential catalysts coming up throughout this year. And Barrick's already announced a new discovery north of the Leeville deposit, which is right by Carlin East, of 21 meters of 35 grams per ton gold. So that's a world-class deposit. We're right on trend of that, and I'll show you why we're excited. And then Swift represents a district scale opportunity, I think, to go out and make a big discovery in the Cortez Trend. So I'll get into Salina first. It's a, as I mentioned, probably multiple times already, it's a shallow oxide silver gold discovery. And what I want to point out here is this is a silver equivalent grade thickness or gram meter map. You probably have heard it mentioned before. It's a great metric for just defining total metal content of a drill hole. So in our case, this right here represents our drill defined mineralized footprint on the project so far, but it's wide open in multiple directions. So we've recently acquired a bunch of data, which was primarily historic data. A lot of the drilling was up there. They weren't drilling deep enough, but the historic operators were hitting widespread low grade over hundreds of feet of strike. Sorry, I got some background noise there. Yeah, so we got great strike potential up to the north, lots of high grade rock chips. And someone, whoever's on there, can you mute your mic? Anyways, so we got 310 grams silver, lots of good grade gold, high grade gold and silver down below as well. What we're seeing is the potential for a system that can really grow in our spring program. Here's what this looks like right here. This is what you'd call our discovery section. And you can see the great continuity we have along this. Multiple intercepts, very near surface, outcropping at surface and gently dipping down into the valley. And I forgot to put on here, I should have. Here's trench number 4, and there was with the location of trench number 5. We hit 38 meters of 115 grams per ton silver equivalent in that trench. We hit 50 meters of 0.6 gold and 16 grams silver, which equated to around, I believe, 80 grams per ton silver equivalent in trench number 5. So great high grade gold rate at surface with great exploration potential heading out into the valley. So, just to put that in perspective, this single drill hole that tested out here in this otherwise untested host rock bottomed in low grade silver. It's a good sign of what we're going after down at depth along this contact here. And we think that our 2021 programs can really grow this thing quickly. And we're going to step, I think, up to the north, actually. This is where our new discovery is, or our new historic data is. And this is, remember I mentioned that there's all this low grade material, but they didn't drill deep enough. That's what we're seeing. So you're getting wide intercepts of low grade gold and silver in what we would typically consider the wrong host rocks. You want to be down testing through here. A few of the holes did tag into it. Not a thing has been gone down into these areas here or into these targets up to in the brown chainman unit. So again, wide open for expansion. We're really excited to get out and drill this thing this spring. We see potential for a large, potentially open pittable silver gold system here at Salina. And this is just looking from north to south. I'll give you a little perspective here. This is looking down EE prime. We're just going to look at the whole strike of the system. So we're starting here. These are these drill holes I mentioned that didn't drill deep enough. We have rock chips of up to 55 grams per ton silver, 2.9 gold, 73 grams silver, 12 grams per ton gold along the projection of these parallel fault zones and at fault intersections. So I think that's really exciting for us. This is a really historically underexplored target, even within our own discovery itself. We've mostly focused here and here. We need to really start infilling between these areas and stepping out. So we'll be doing a 15-hole program this spring, and that'll focus on both infill of the existing discovery and then stepping out into some of these areas I just acknowledged, and really testing the exploration potential of the project. So we're going to move over to Bell Creek now. It's 5 square kilometers, just a very little postage stamp on the Carlin trend, but it's an important one. We own everything in yellow 100%. That's a lease for 100% ownership of the Bell Creek project. It is right beside the historic Wren deposit, which is a few million ounces of high-grade underground ore that's owned by Nevada Gold Mines and joint venture with Barrick and Newmont. They look like they're trying to get that project into production, and they recently started drilling the sinkhole breccia target, or they finished drilling it, apologies, last year. We're waiting on results from that. That's only 250 meters away from the edge of our Bell Creek property. And just to put this thing in perspective, Ely Gold owns a royalty on the red outline there, the Wren property. And that royalty is valued at over 41 million US by Laurentian Bank. So that's just a royalty. We own 100% of the adjoining ground. I like to think that this is a very strategic land position for us. We're waiting to see what results come out of the sinkhole breccia target, and then we will plan our exploration programs accordingly. But could definitely be a catalyst for the company this year. Carlin East is a 35 square kilometer land package right beside Bell Creek, but we actually split the two projects apart because the value of Bell Creek is tied to the Wren Banshee Meikle area, Whereas what we see as the value at Carlin East is a new discovery that's been made along trend of the Leeville mine in between the two projects along the Four Corners fault. So these are two different target areas, so we split them apart accordingly. The Leeville mine is over, I believe it was originally the total reserves, resources, production, et cetera, is well over 10 million ounces of greater than 10 grams per ton. So this is a significant high grade deposit. This is the Four Corners fault that is the main host to that deposit. They made a new discovery, Nevada Gold Mines in Q2 of last year, 21 meters of 35 grams gold at 827 meters to vertical depth. We hit our hole in 2019. We proved that host rocks are 800 meters down. That's where we want to be starting. We didn't get the hole deep enough in 2019 and we ran out of capital because we were still a private little junior. We are now going back this year. We're going to test that same North Leeville target analog at the crash zone target. So we're really excited what that could bring. Any good drill holes of this project would really crack it open for the company, I think, with Barrick drilling discoveries nearby. So, Carlin East, Bell Creek, very exciting strategic land positions, good potential catalysts. But I really love talking about Swift. It's my favorite project from a geology perspective. I'm a geologist by trade here, and this project really gets us excited. It's 50 square kilometers. We've been able to consolidate the entire district here. And what's really important to point out, this is a northwest trending, it's not a single fault, it's more of a corridor, but all of these fault or major deposits on the Cortez Trend are hosted at the intersection with that northwest fault where it intersects cross-cutting fault zones. Every time you get that, you get a 10 to 20 million ounce gold mine. The next structural zone cuts across our project at Swift, right by the Elder Creek mine. So we see an opportunity. There's 3 drill holes historically that tested the target rocks on this 50 square kilometer property. So we've come in, I'm going to show you a cross section that cuts right across that corridor like this. Here's what that looks like. So we came in 2020, we drilled holes 1, 2, and 3. We lost hole 3, unfortunately, in this fault zone. And what was really significant is we hit the Wenban formation. Now, I didn't point that out in the slide before because I got out of order, but the Wenban is host to the majority of the gold on the Cortez Trend. It has never been drilled on our project prior to us coming in. We tested a new concept within this corridor here, and we hit that light blue rock unit. It was really cooked up and altered. We hit a big intrusive right here, which we interpret as an older intrusive, which is really important. A lot of the biggest gold mines in Nevada are hosted along the margins of Jurassic and Cretaceous age intrusive stocks. Now, they didn't actually source the gold, but they created the rock prep and the heat, and they kind of prepared the rock around it for gold deposition. So when the younger intrusives came in and mineralized the system, you got a gold mine. So we have a lot of the right components, right? We have an intrusion, we have the right host rocks. 2 kilometers away to the east, you have an existing historic gold mine at Elder Creek here at surface. 2 kilometers to the west, you have a single drill hole intercept that hit 17 meters of 0.7 grams per ton gold. Those are all in not as favorable of host rocks, right? We need to get in this year in 2021, and we want to come in and test the gold anticline target here, and we want to test the Mill Creek target. The gold did not flow up or fall from the sky. It had to flow up these faults. We see these as highly prospective exploration targets. We want to come in, do a preliminary program at both targets, and try to show that this thing has great discovery potential. So this is a project that definitely gets me excited. It's a little bit earlier stage than our other assets, but I think has a lot of potential. So as far as near-term catalysts, it's been a busy year already. We acquired, as I mentioned, a historic drill hole database at Salina. And what's really important there, we acquired that whole database for $10,000 US. Would have taken us about a year of work and probably $2 million US to actually recreate that database in modern times. So that's a huge leap forward for the company, massive catalyst for us. We now know that project extends for 2 kilometers, that mineralized footprint for 2 kilometers to the north-south and over a kilometer to the east-west. And it's open in every direction, but to the southeast. So that's a very exciting move for us. In February, we expect Q4 results coming out of Nevada Gold Mines being released through Barrick. That could have exploration results for both Carlin East and Bell Creek. And then in April, we will be starting our drill program. So really looking forward to this spring. We'll get that initial program going at Salina. We'll then follow up with a drill program at Carlin East, and then we'll plan accordingly with the other assets, whether we want to go back and drill those or go over to our Swift project. So you look like you want to ask me, you want me to slow down, Kai, go ahead.
No, I appreciate it, Chad. We were unfortunately out of time.
Yeah, for sure.
It goes by so quickly. It's unbelievable. I was going to ask you which one is your favorite child, but you answered it right when I wrote down the question. So
I kind of let it. Yeah. Swift is definitely the favorite, but I mean, they all have their own upside in their own right, and that's why we really love our portfolio. A little bit of everything.
no, it's super exciting. And I just discovered actually you have a German version of the presentation on the website as well.
We do, yeah.
So fantastic. I just saw that as well. So let's get everybody, you can go to ridgelineminerals.com and you can find the presentation there under investors presentation. Chad, I think we have a couple of questions in the chat for you waiting. So make sure to hop in there and get cracking on that. Really appreciate you joining us this morning.